Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. This video has been highly requested. I keep getting this on talking about how I view America after living in Sweden for so long. Especially the recent changes that's happened in America, how I see American society change since I've been back, or since every time I go back, I've seen it change a little bit here and there, and we'll get into it. So the number one thing I've seen, which I mentioned in my previous video, is stress levels. And I've just noticed that Americans have gotten more and more stressed. And I think there's a couple reasons for it, and I'm going to get into it. Obviously, like the current stuff with COVID has stressed people out. But in general, I just feel like our politics have gotten so divisive. And they have been for a while, but obviously when Trump got in, it took it to a whole nother level. And all this stuff that was brewing for many years of disagreements and stuff, people didn't really go into it so much. You always saw someone that you disagreed with is still a friend or somebody that you respected. But when Trump tapped into the anger, that really led to people really fighting. And I also think America had a lot of changes. If you look at like gay marriage getting legalized, if you look at like a good example like MJ getting legalized in the States, there's been so much progressive change in the United States that there was this little bit of blowback from the other side. And in the process, we started to split up into two groups, and it became a little bit of the baby boomers versus the millennials, for example. Instead of working together, there's been a lot of this going on at the same time. On top of the stress levels, what I believe is happening is that it's harder and harder to find a job in the United States, and the prices of things keep going up, and less people, for example, own a home than they used to. And there's a lot of people living paycheck to paycheck, and just over time, that really builds up your stress level. Not to mention the fact that we have social media, and although I love being on YouTube and having social media, the issue with social media is simply that it always is going to show you what's going to get the most attention, right? And although like puppy dogs and like pictures of cats do really well online, a lot of times a toxic comment or an angry comment, you know, that one you just look at and you get really angry, it's going to like get so much attention, and it's going to be shown because, you know, Facebook wants to make money, for example. They're not thinking of the consequences. So when this happened on social media, it just brought everything up. It's like road rage. I'll give you an example. So like if you're in a car, someone like does something in front of you and you see people yelling. I see it in Sweden, not so much, but you know, you get in this huge fight or whatever, you feel like safe because you're in your car or you're in your own bubble, right? It's like the same with social media because you're getting all this information so fast. You look at something, you get angry, and you type, and you're not seeing anyone's faces. So there's a lot of anger getting online, and I've been a part of this sometimes too. I would be on Facebook, I would see something, you know, when I didn't agree with certain things that Trump was doing towards the end after the election, I found myself saying that thing, and you know, I had people that like unfriended me, and it's just, I find it to be very, very sad that we got to this point. So I think social media has a huge part of it. And that's why I always tell Swedes and Europeans that don't look at us like it can't happen here, because it's already starting to happen. Because what's happening with social media is happening here as well. Not to mention, on top of that, everything has become more automated. So, you know, Amazon, you're not going to the store so much. Americans are leaving their house less and less, especially if you consider they drive in their cars, they go to work, they come home, they don't need to go to the store now, everything's delivered to them. And all these things are automatic, like you've got these places like they deliver food. It's been great for COVID, obviously, and it's been like amazing for that. But just overall, this lack of seeing people has really added to the depression. And then add that into social media, seeing people do cool stuff, you start to feel inadequate. And I think that these things have been brewing in America for a long time. And even Trump getting elected, like how I see it in America, was that just a sign that the current way we were doing politics hadn't worked, and the Americans were sick of people losing their jobs. They were sick of the status quo, and they wanted to throw a monkey wrench into the system. I don't think they realized how chaotic it was going to be in the end for some people, but like it obviously kind of ended poorly. But I think that politicians are now realizing that they got to really step up their game. You know, Biden has to do a really good job. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes, simply because if Americans keep feeling this way and going this way, our own country is going to tear itself apart. So looking at it from abroad, being an American, it has just been, first of all, super embarrassing. Like I am so ashamed at how people are acting in the United States. And I'm so ashamed that we let it get this bad. And I'm so disappointed that people lack the mental maturity to have a conversation, sit down, and even if you disagree with someone, just vote. I understand that it can feel toxic, but I just think the issue is when you completely cut people out of your life because they don't agree with you, then they're never going to hear like an opposing opinion, and they're never going to be open to that. Like, I'll give an example. Let's say somebody is, for whatever reason, against gay marriage or gay rights. There's a possibility that if they meet you, they talk to you, you end up being gay, or you're just able to get in their ear and say some different opinions, that they might be open to changing their opinions over time. Because I think in a lot of cases, it just comes down to education. People believe a certain thing, and over time, they need to be educated on it. When people get closed off like this, they go to their sides, and the issue is you become more and more extreme. And it has really led to a lot of toxicity in the United States. Another way I look at America in general right now is disappointment. And I'll explain to you what I mean. I'm not angry at America for what happened, of course not, because like I'm an American too, I can understand what happened. I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed in my country right now. Was proud after the decision they made with the election, and that, some people are going to say, oh, you liberal, blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. I would consider myself like an independent. And I called that Trump was going to say the election was a lie a long time ago and say that it was all phony. I did that. You can go through my YouTube channel and see yourself. So I saw all of this coming. The reason I feel disappointed is because America has so much potential. I mean, look at this. Even if you consider, now maybe the motivation might be that the Americans needed to get like back in stores and spending money again because it has a lot to do with like how our system works. But still, Americans were able to come together, come up with a COVID vaccine, distribute it, and do the best job of getting it taken care of than any other country in the world. No offense to other countries though. With the leadership that they had and the chaos of an election year, Americans are able to come together and solve problems. And it's that potential that we have that disappoints me, because I wish we could apply it to more and more things. I wish we could apply it to taking care of each other. Like, I don't know what happened, but like when I was a kid, I always felt like Americans were, and I still do, I just hope we have to find it again, but I feel like Americans are super kind. I feel like they care about their fellow people. I feel like they're very charitable. And this us and them mentality has ruined that, because suddenly you're making people out to be the enemy on the other side. Suddenly you're shutting off dialogue. Suddenly you're not being so charitable. You're looking at others as less than, or you're looking at yourself as better. And we have to find a way in America to come together, and we have to find a way to take care of our fellow people and be charitable again. And let's, instead of yelling at people and telling them why they're wrong, why don't you see what you can give to the world? Why don't you see what proper advice that you can give? And how can you help somebody else? It doesn't have to be money or financially, but maybe you have a skill you can offer to someone else. Maybe you can offer some advice. And let's stop with this toxicity, because the truth is this: America's biggest enemy is not Russia. It's not China. It's itself. The biggest risk to America is it destroying itself from the inside. And we've gotten pretty close to that. And I hope most Americans can see that. And I hope most Americans can understand that people like me are embarrassed. We're super embarrassed. It was not fun to be in Europe and deal with this. It was not fun. It made us look so bad. And no judgment from me, but like I said, I'm not even angry. I'm just disappointed. I'm like a disappointed parent, right? So with all that said, that's what it's been like viewing America, being someone in Europe at the moment, in Sweden, and seeing how everything has played out. I'm not completely hopeless, but I still feel like there might be some tough times ahead. But I'm hopeful that maybe what happened with this election was like the final straw before things start to change. Also, if you just consider the fact that a lot of older people, I'm not saying that they have bad opinions, I'm not trying to just say that, but a lot of older people are going to die off, And at a certain point, like the new baby boomers or the baby boomers are going to be replaced by the millennials, for example. And I think that the millennials have a different philosophy and belief. So I feel like you're going to see a lot of changes in the United States, and it's just going through that change now. And America's like an ox, right? An ox doesn't move so quickly. It takes a long time for it to move because it's such a big country. And I think America's just going through a lot of changes right now. And, any country that had many different groups of people from many different cultures and places, all with different ideas, is going to have a tough time every once in a while. But at the end of the day, Americans have to find a way to be American first and a Democrat second, or American first and a Republican second, or American first and an independent second. If we can come together with that philosophy and not attack each other all the time, I think we can build a better future together and explore space together, because I think there's some cool stuff up there. I want to go to Mars. I want to check it out. I want to go to Saturn and chill. That's what I want to do. Science, awesome. Let's go for it. See you in the next one. Hej då.